Hello?
Hello.
Hello. Okay, can you see my screen? I guess you can.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Let's minimize this. I don't want to turn it off. Let's minimize this guy right over here. And oh, okay, that's cool. I don't like that. It shoots up. Come on, go up again. Boy, I screwed it up. Let's see. What do we want to do? Let's go over here first. Let's go over here first. Yes. Not stick. All right, the class is officially beginning. Here we go. We're going to finish up this database. Well, that's kind of silly. You can't really finish up. You can't do databases, real databases, in 2 classes. You need a couple of semesters anyway. And when you go to UMass, you're going to take a database class, at least one. And then there's advanced databases. Since the time I took a database, what I'm showing you here is the kind of databases that I was shown back in the 80s, and now they have other databases, kind of technology like NoSQL, and that's a whole different. You're storing data in that database as well, but in an entirely different format than what I'm describing here. So you need to take a couple of semesters and be masters of databases for you to be successful in programming. At any rate, let's see what we got here. We're going to take a look at this zip code thing again. All right, here's the database to look up, and I wanted to show you the zip codes database that's on the MySQL server. So I'm going to connect using my Macintosh terminal, and you can't see that. Let me make it bigger. I think you can see that now. I'm going to connect to my CS machine. And good. Things are working. That's nice. See, so now I have a terminal connection to the CS machine. And what I would like to do is now start entering commands into the MySQL server. See, they give you utilities that you shouldn't have to write a whole program to interact with the database. They give you utilities to maintain the database. This is a command line utility. If CS were a true Windows type machine, they would give you a GUI to manipulate it. But this is all we really need right now. So let me just go MySQL. Let me go into the Silvestri database and /u read only. That's going to be my read only. I have to log in, and let's go ahead and -P to enter a password. You don't need to do all this stuff. I'm just trying to give you I think in that video he goes over a lot of this, what I'm showing you here. So if you're so interested, well, you can't. You have to have an account on the CS machine in order for you to do this. But at any rate, okay, I'm into the MySQL database, and MariaDB is just another implementation of MySQL. So there really isn't any big difference between the two. I'm going to say describe zip codes, and that's good, and put a semicolon at the end, and that's going to show you what I have in that homework. That zip codes is a table, and that table has these attributes associated with them right over here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different attributes. Now let me just show you something. I'm going to start querying this table. Okay, and then maybe after I show you all these different queries and all these different commands that you could send to SQL Server, you may have a better appreciation for the code that we were talking about last time. So I would like to select some information, and I want to grab all the information. That's star. I want to grab all the information that is in the zip codes table. I'm not restricting anything. Okay, I have to put a semicolon for this interface to tell it that that's the end of the command. You don't have to do that in your program. Hit enter, look at it, it's just going on and on and on. So you could tell that there's a lot of information there. Maybe, I think there's only 35,000 records, and even 35,000 records is nothing to a normal database. You could imagine all the orders that Amazon takes on, that's got to be millions, billions of records. So a database system is one that retrieves information quickly. So let's see what we want to do. I'm going to go up arrow. I want just so I can remember the names of the attributes. I want to restrict 33,000 rows, 33,099 rows in that record set. Okay, let's take select. Let me select all the information from the table zip codes, and the way you restrict the number of records that gets returned is through a where clause, and that's going to be your constraint on the records. So let's see all the zip codes where. Let's see where state ID is equal to Massachusetts. So that's going to give me all the Massachusetts zip codes, all the zip codes that are associated with Massachusetts. Let's see if that's right. I guess there's 537. I guess that's true. 537 different zip codes associated with Massachusetts. And so what happens here is if I can scroll all the way to, oh, there it is. If I can scroll all the way down, come on. Oh, okay, let me scroll up a little bit here. A little bit up here. You whore. What did I just do? I think I logged myself out. Really? You bastard. Okay, where am I now? This is Silvestri. I got to do this again. All right, come back here. Let's see, password. I don't know what I did there. It's always something. Okay, let's go up. At least there's command line. Okay, so now I think it didn't save that last where. Okay, let's do this. Where state ID equals Massachusetts, semicolon, and okay, let's see if I can at least scroll down there. So, okay, 500. There's still a lot of. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to restrict. I'm going to say, well, maybe that's too many records. Maybe you want to know all the zip codes that are associated with Springfield, Massachusetts, right? Maybe that's what you want to do. So even this is too much. I want to restrict the number of records to something that's only in Springfield, Mass. So let's see let me go back up and see what is associated with zip codes. State ID is good, and city. Okay. So here we go. Boom. I'm going to add to this. See, the select statement is a language in itself. It's very similar to other languages. Like other languages have an and clause as well, right? So if you want to restrict the zip codes to stay within Massachusetts and the city equals Springfield, semicolon. Now that's better. That fits on that's 11 rows, 11 zip codes. Okay, and up to, the system does its best to try to format the data in a way that accommodates the text screen. But so that here's your zip code, your latitude, longitude, city, state ID, name, etc. Yeah, so all the records have that information in it. Springfield, Massachusetts. So there's a problem here. No, that's not a problem. Problem is basically I just, maybe I'm still returning too much information, because you know what the problem is this star. The star says, give me every attribute associated with every record. And, for sure, every record is going to have the word Massachusetts in it, right? State ID Massachusetts. It's going to return the word Massachusetts, and it's going to be Springfield. So why are you wasting time sending back stuff that you know is going to say Springfield, Massachusetts, and I don't even care about the county, Hampden County. That's not necessary for me, or the zip code. So, or the time zone that's off over here in this area. So what I'm going to do is say, well, instead of doing this, I want to restrict the output to particular fields. So what I would like to do is just have it output the zip code. That's important. That changes. Comma. What else is important? Longitude, latitude. I guess that's it. You know, I guess that's all I care about. That's different, right? Because the longitude and latitude is not important to me. If you do want it, you just put down lat, comma, longitude. Okay, so there we'll have 3 attributes that gets returned. And that's nice and tight. That's data that gets returned. And your program can suck it in using the code I'm going to show you. And another nice feature of a database is, okay, so apparently these zip codes are coming back in sorted order. They don't necessarily have to come back in sorted order, because I think when I imported that data into the database, they were going in sorted order. But that's not a requirement. There's nothing that says that the select statement would put 01118 in front of 01103. The only requirement is to send back all the records that have these 2 attributes, state ID and city, as what you specified. Okay, that's the only requirement. The order is not important. The nice thing about databases is that if you want data to come back sorted, you can offload that task to the database server by just saying order by, let's put the zip code in descending order. Order by zip code, you specify the attribute that you would like to have your order on, and order by descending, or is it DES? I'll find out. No, DESC. DESC. There you go. And you notice what happens here? All these things are going down in order as opposed to ascending. So you could do, and this is, you know, this is the whole beauty of this database. Okay, instead of having, you know, there's 2 ways you could have sorted stuff. You could have gotten those records coming back from the server to your Java program, and then you would have had your client sort them, and then your client would display those in a text box or text area some way, or just offload that work onto the database server, let the database server do the job of sorting and sending back the records in the proper order. So I think that gives you a better, and what you've got to also appreciate is see, this is one big string. This is one big string, a command that gets sent to the database server, and the database server is going to take that command and it's going to parse it out to see if it's valid. And if it's valid, it's going to try to execute it and send back a response. That's what you're doing with the Java programs that you're writing. So what do you think? What do you think? Okay, there we go. All right.
Was this just the command line and not anything to do with Java at the moment?
This has nothing to do with Java, other than it's just a command line interface that I wanted to show you the different commands that get sent to. I could have done this in Java, but then I'd have to type in all those commands in Java and recompile and do all that stuff. So it's not. This is much better interface. Okay, and you should be aware that it exists. Something like this. Okay, so what do you think? Let's keep this open. Let's keep this open. Oh, where's my mouse? Let's keep this open. I'd like to close my windows. I don't know what it is. I always want to close my windows. I think it came back from the old Windows 95 days, where you had, if you had 2 or 3 windows open, it crashed the machine. So I still live in then. Okay, so let's go to okay, go down. Let's minimize that too. Let's go to our program. Now we're going to go back to the program. Fortunately or unfortunately, what you have here is the same connection to the Silvestri database that I showed you. I typed in a user of read only, and I typed in a password of read only to get access to all those commands and stuff on the MySQL command line. I'm going to connect to the same database. You need to make a connection. All right, and in Java you have to create a statement so that statement is just there ready for you to dump information in. And this is the information I would like to come back. This is the information. In this case, I'm not doing zip codes. I'm doing students. And students, his code is referencing 3 tables that are in the textbook on chapter 34. If you take a look in chapter 34, he shows you 3 tables: students, courses, and enrollment table. And so that's okay. That's good. So, all right. So here's the string that I want to send to the database server. Okay. That's nice. That's the actual SQL string. In order to send that string to the server, you need to send it an execute query. So on that object, execute query that string, and it will return a result set, just much like what I showed you in the command line. A set of records came back. That's called the result set. And now what I would like to do is display that information, and you got to understand. Let me run this. Okay, driver loaded. Okay, pretend. You see where this cursor is right over here? This cursor. Let me see if I can put it up in the middle here. Okay, put it up here. All right. All right. So when the result set comes back, line 25 starts to execute. There's a result set pointer that points not to a particular record. It doesn't automatically go to the first record. It goes to the record just before it. So it goes to like a phantom record here, a phantom record. In order to get to a real record, you need to execute this statement. You have to actually move that pointer yourself manually. So result set.next. And if you go ahead and execute that statement, it will move the pointer to the next record if it exists. If it doesn't exist, it returns false. It just returns false. But in this case, it does exist. It returns true. So if it returns true, it's safe for you to go ahead and grab the string that's located in position 1. First name is a string. That's the first attribute. The second attribute is number 2, middle initial. Third attribute is the last name. Okay, and then it'll work. So then it comes back. You execute this result set next. So here's the cursor. You move it down to the next line, and the next line says Gene. Okay, it's pointing to Gene, and it's pointing to a valid record. I'm printing that out. Okay, Josh, I'm printing that out. Eventually, you're going to move that pointer down to there, where it doesn't actually point to anything, and false, stop, done. Great, you're good to go. So if I go to, let me change this to Smith XXX, and there is no last name Smith XXX. There shouldn't be. We'll find out. Okay, go over there. And geez, I get no indication. I didn't get any errors, but I get no indication of that there's no such records, Smith XXX. So this is something that you might want to do in your program too. You want to show, if a guy clicks a button and you show him nothing, that's a little disconcerting. So what you want to do is you have to adjust the logic a little bit in order to get the output to show no records or something. So what I'm going to show you here is, unfortunately or fortunately, what you need to do before you can even test the record set is you need to check, you need to move that record pointer. This result set.next needs to be done here first. Okay. And if that's true, then you can go ahead and loop through those records. If that returns false at the very first, I'll tell you right now, If that returns false right at the very, the very first time, I can safely say system.out control, no records found. Print that out, and that's good. But what do we do here? Now I cannot do this. You understand? I can't just copy that original code and do this. Okay. Result set. Okay, let me do a source format. Okay, and then come on, let's go over here. Let's put this on the next line. Jeez. Okay. Do you see what will happen here if I kept this code here? Can anybody anticipate what might happen or will happen? Well, will happen. Let's go. Okay, I think Smith XXX is going to work. Smith XXX is definitely going to work. No records found. Yay. Okay, let's go back to no XXX. Can you anticipate what's going to happen?
Anticipate that it's going to start looping the results multiple times.
I can't hear you. Are you on a phone? Apparently, you can take a look at these Zoom meetings from phones. I didn't understand what you were saying. Anybody else?
Are you going to miss the first entry?
You're going to miss the first entry. You're going to miss the first entry. See, the first entry is going to go. See, there was 3. Now you missed the first one. So that just means that you just can't use a while loop. Why don't we just use a do loop? Okay, just do a do loop. Get rid of this. Do a do loop. When the do loop is going to execute the first, it'll read the first guy. And where's my end? I don't know where my end button on this stupid thing is. Come over here. While. Now here's, I would do a do while and then put the result set down here. So you're going to get the first entry, result set dot next, and then you're going to process this next guy, and you're going to then run this, and everything's all beautiful and works great. There you go. Jacob came back. A couple of things I want to show you here. Is here he says get string 1, the first attribute, second attribute, third attribute. You could actually, this is probably a better way to do this, is just name the attribute. And that way there you're not constrained to the order in which you put the stuff in. Okay, so when you use 1, 2, and 3, that's referencing the order in which you put it in the SQL statement. But then why not? Why can't we just put the last name first? We'll put the first name in the middle. First name, we got to specify, okay, F, it's case sensitive. First name and then the middle initial at the end. And I think that's a nicer way of doing the code. Up, cancel, I got an oh, quotes around that thing, quotes. Okay, now let's try it. Try that, good, okay, yeah, see, it's in different order. I think that's a better way of doing it. He doesn't really stress that too much in the book, but I think it's just easier to do. What else that looks good? And see, at that point, I can move things around in my select statement, and your code is isolated from the change in the select statement. Same thing. That wouldn't be the case if you did 1, 2, and 3. You'd have to change the numbers around. All right, what do you think? What do you think? Now, what's missing from this big lecture here? Well, this is not all nice and good, but this is a command line. All right, and we're doing GUIs. We're master of GUIs. And so we need to incorporate this code in the GUIs. So I just want to see who's here. One quick thing. Who's here? That's here. Okay. GUIs. So like, I'm going to show you a GUI. I think fine grade is a GUI. Yeah, it's an ugly GUI. He's going to get a 5 out of 10 from me. Okay, at least I can do is source format this thing anyway. Source format. All right, so it's a very bad GUI. Look at this thing, right? And before I even attempt to connect, I got to make sure that my connection is going to the right spot. All right. And I'm going to put my username password over here. This really should be constants at the very top of your code. So I shouldn't have to search for that. Okay, let's get rid of all this other stuff. Get rid of all this stuff here. And I think it should now function. Let's see if it works. Show you the GUI. That's a GUI? Yeah, that's a GUI, all right. That's gross. That's an ugly GUI. Okay, but hey, the whole idea behind this is to show you database and not really worry about too much about the user interface. So I'm going to look up a guy's grade. So this is in the textbook. Let's see. I'm going to put a bogus grade in there, a bogus social security number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, just put a 2 there, and course ID. What's the good course ID? 1111. 11111. I'm looking at the PowerPoint slides there, and inside the PowerPoint, it's also in the textbook. But if you have the PowerPoint slides, it shows you distinctively what the 3 tables look like. So I'm going to go ahead and, yeah, of course not found. Okay, that's good. So not found is good. He's probably using the same technique I showed you before. But what I would like to do now is put a real social security number, and let's say 444. 444. This is a real social security number, 5 ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with a 0 at the end. And this kid took this course. Show the grade. Okay, Smith R. Jacobs grade on that course, Intro to Java 1 is an A. A. You got an A. So let's not worry about the actual presentation. This is an ugly presentation. He's not going to sell this app to anybody. Let's just take a look at the basic database stuff and what's going on here. And what he does is, I guess it's okay, at the start, initialize your database, which is that, he sets up the actual connection to the database. So that's something you probably want to do here. Here he defines a statement at the very top. I don't know if that's a good idea. I would define your variables where they're actually being used, but he makes it a global variable, and that's not good. But anyway, somewhere in your app, you're going to need to initialize your database, and this is what he does here. He initializes the database, and that just looks like what I showed you before. Okay. All right. So where do we actually get this? Now, in order to write the query, okay, so when we hit the button, where do we hit the button? See, this is not good code here. Show grade. There's a method called show grade. Oh my God, look at this mess. Look at this big long select statement. Whew. Okay, let's show you what that is. It's not that bad. Let's show you the actual tables. Okay, now let's go to the enrollment table. The main table, see, but I typed in 2 values. I typed in a social security number and I typed in a course ID. All right, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look up in this table to see if this even exists. If there was a 444, 5 ones and a 0 and 5 ones in those attributes. And if there is such a record, I'm going to print out the A. So that A gets printed out because that A is directly in that table. But the problem is, where do I dig up the name? And where do I dig up the course ID has a title. Where do I dig that up? It's not part of the actual table. And this is what's called joining data. This is this is an important concept. You want to join this data with data that's found in another table. So like if I know the social security number, I can easily join that social security number to the student ID table, and this this SSN is going to have that guy's name, and if I want all this other information, I have access to it. Okay, so that's one thing that we need to join. And then another thing is that we need to join is course ID, and course ID is over here. 551s is this, and where I extract Introduction to Java. See, the issue here, I think I can go right to, yeah, I do have a table. I do have this open. Okay. Let me go into the table. Let me push this up. I would like to select all the info, because I don't know the name of the fields right now. Let's not worry about that. I would like to grab information from 3 tables. Course, spell it right. From the course, come on, comma, student, comma, enrollment. Okay. The information has to come from 3 tables because that's where that data is located. And it's not as easy as you think, because what happens is if that's all I do, I get 1,672 rows that comes back. And the reason for that is you didn't tell it how to organize this information. Okay, I bet you 1672 is, take a look at how many records you got here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The student table has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 88. Oh, geez. And then this guy, this enrollment table has a lot of tables. See, what the system does, since you didn't tell it how to organize or join the data, it takes every record in course, associated with every record in student. That in turn gets associated with every record in enrollment. So you've got this big cross join of, 8 times 11 times whatever to give you 1672. You're actually, and that's wrong because you're relating records from that have nothing to do with anything. Let's take a look at Rick Carter here. Rick Carter has a social security number of this, but he's being associated with another social security number that has no business being associated with each other. See, there's 2 within this one row. Okay, there's a social security number field in both tables, one in the enrollment table and one in the student table. And because you didn't tell the system what to do, it just says, okay, let's associate this student with this record, and that doesn't make any sense. They have nothing. They have no business associating with these things together. So, what you want to do is limit the association. So, what you want to do is have a where clause that says, okay, in the course table, there's an SSN, course table.ssn. I think it's lowercase. Yeah, it's lowercase. SSN. And there's also in the enrollment table, there's an SSN. So I got to make sure I say enrollment.ssn. So you got to qualify with a dot notation that the SSN I'm looking for is associated with the course, and the SSN that's associated with the enrollment is that. And let's see what we got here. Okay. Where clause, where course, is course spelled right? Geez. Is it course? Yeah, it's spelled right. What the hell's wrong? Unknown column, SSN. Describe course. Describe course. Come on, show tables. These are all the tables in my database. Okay. Come on. All right. Come on. Show tables again. Okay. That's 2. There better be a course. Come on. There's a lot of tables. Go down, go down, go down. Oh, frustrated. Come on, course. Okay, capital course. Describe capital course. Okay, capital course. Describe capital course. You have an error in your SQL syntax. Oh, describe, S, damn it. Okay. Oh, course ID, subject ID. There is no course. There's no SSN in the course. Why? Okay, I've lost my mind. Okay, I've lost my mind. So what you want to do is you're relating the wrong things here. From the enrollment has an SSN and the student table. Don't get old. That's better. See, at least now we're associating records from the student table with the enrollment table. They're associated properly. So we have 152. And while we're at it, okay, if you look at the data closely, we want to make sure that the enrollment course ID, I hope it's spelled right. Let me take a look. Course ID, enrollment, course ID, yep, is equal to the course ID. There you go. Now that's good. That's a very good. Okay, that's a very good join. Okay, that's a very good join from this. So basically, what you're producing with this technique is you're producing a phantom table, not a real table that's in the database. Sort of like a phantom table with all the data listed in one row that you can access inside your program. All right. So the book does a nice job describing it. And if I didn't do a good job describing it, then if you want to know more about it, now I don't think you need to even know this for your zip code, because you're only manipulating one table in the zip code app. But it's not. I'm just giving you a little preview as what you're going to be doing in your advanced courses. Let's minimize that for now. Come over here. Let's show you the code. Let's show you the code here. This is what he's doing over here. Okay, let me print out. Let me print out this string. It's just out because it looks, see, he's building one big massive SQL statement here. So let's just print it out so that we can see what it looks like on the screen here in the console. So let's come over here, run that, driver loaded, and let's put down 444 1111 111110 and the course ID of 5 ones. Show the grade and take a look at that select statement. I would like to have all this information come back. Only five records. All this information that comes back from those tables where, okay, so where we want to make sure the student SSN is equal to that value from the text box, and the course ID is from that text box. And you also have to make sure that you're joining the proper information from all the tables. So you've got one big massive join there. And this is what happens. He just now builds, it's basically the same thing that we had before in the text. And if there is, he moves the record pointer, and if there's a valid record, he extracts all that information, all those strings, to build one big label that has all the information printed. Otherwise, not found. Okay, that's cool. Now, the last thing I'm going to tell you is the code that you see here is definitely not production code. I don't know if you've ever heard of what's called SQL Injection. But there's a hacking technique that people learned very early on to break into people's databases. And let me run this code. Let me run this. Okay, you ask for an SSN, but you can type anything you want. Delete from table, from course. From course. There's an actual delete command that deletes all the information from that database, and you have to format it in such a way. I think you put like a little hyphen there. And what happens then? Let's not do that. What happens then is that string that you typed in gets put inside these this big string, and you're basically embedding an SQL command within another SQL command, which can be done, but the idea there is you've just deleted your database, okay, and or at least one table in the database, and people have done that. People have done that, and they do it a lot. It's called SQL injection, and so the way you fix that is this looks kind of big and gross, although it does function. The last thing I'm going to show you is something that you could actually use in your zip code app, and that is prepared statements, find grade using prepared statements. Yeah, that's good. And this is the last program we'll talk about. Toggle, file, edit. Where the hell? Source format. Okay. A prepared statement. This program looks like the other program that we had before. The same initialization, although I do have to say cs.stick.edu. And I got to make sure I do my Silvestri. And let's go ahead and delete. And read only, so I can show you. Here, read only. And get rid of all this crap. Delete that. And let's take a look at the query string. The query string looks, and I don't know why he has this. Let's just put that together there. Okay, so we have this big long select where student.ssn equals question mark. It's like a little placeholder. It's like a little parameter. Question mark is something that is used within an SQL statement as like a placeholder. And each question mark has a number associated with it. The first, this is number 1, this is number 2 in the order that you see them from left to right. So the idea here is just think of this as a placeholder, then another placeholder, and the rest of this stuff here, there's something wrong with this. There's definitely something wrong with this because something's missing. Something is missing. Yeah, I think he's missing this guy. This code, copy. He has to do the proper joining of all that data. Okay, proper joining of all that data there. And you know what? Let's get rid of this. We don't need this. We don't need that guy right there. That's better. That's better. Okay, that does the proper join of those 3 tables, and so basically the SSN and this are placeholders. So if a guy does try to insert some stupid delete command, what will happen is in this prepared statement, this comes in as a parameter, and the system is not going to execute that parameter as SQL. It's going to say, well, is there a student SSL equal to delete? And there is no such thing. So it prevents you from having SQL injection into your code. So how do you work with this? Okay, prepared statement. Instead of a statement, you create a prepared statement. You pass it a query string. You built it. Now, when you actually want to show the grade, in your prepared statement, you set the appropriate string. So set the string number 1 to SSN And basically, you've passed it a parameter into that prepared statement. Prepared statement number 2 is the course ID, and the rest of it's just pretty much the same. You execute the query, get the back a result set, and you display it. That saves you from doing intense. There are people out there. If this was an important app, there are people out there that try to break into it using all the. They have websites on how to do SQL injection, and they try to execute all those terms, hoping that they would break into your system, or at least be very malicious and be evil and delete stuff that you've worked many years on. All right, so that's databases. What do you think?
Do you have this code posted somewhere?
I believe I do have this code posted. You've had this access to this code since the first time you've ever saw me. You know where you get it? You don't know where you get this code? You don't know where to get it, huh? You know what it is? I think you guys are young. The problem is with young is you're not very serious. Okay, you come over here from day one. Links and resources. I guess it's links and resources. Let's try that. Okay, you remember this? Your PowerPoint slides, source code arranged by chapters. There you go. That's there. And that's all I'm going to say about it. Anything else? Well, let's see. What are we going to do the rest of the semester here? Well, you have some people. A couple of people have actually finished. They got their A's. They can take the rest of it, and now what they can do is kick back and enjoy the rest of the lockdown doing nothing. Although I'm going to suggest to those people, go to my website. You know, the center of all things Java in Stick. Okay, Java certification. And there's a video that describes, is Java certification worth it? And I say, yes, it is worth it. Because ultimately, why are you doing this? Why are you taking these courses? Hopefully to learn something that you can get for a job. I would think that would be the answer. And if you go to that site,
Java certification.
Okay, shut up. Let's go over here to the actual page. And there's a bunch of links on that page, information on how to pass these exams. Okay. And I think if you did all my homework and were very conscientious with doing the homework, you could actually pass this exam. But, you know, let's see how I'll shut up. Shut up. Okay. But I don't know, you know, if people go ahead and copy other people's code and do that, they're just, you know, not learning anything. I would not suggest you try that exam, because you have to pay some big dollars for this exam, like 350. I don't know if it's big dollars, but $350 to take that exam. And you could take that exam at Stick. They have what's called high stakes testing. And high stakes testing, it's high stakes because you're going to lose the money. Because if you don't pass it, they're not going to. They're not going to listen. You know, your grandfather died or whatever. They don't want to listen to that. You lost the money. Okay, so then you have to wait another 3 months before you can take the exam again. So the idea is you can show the employer that you passed it, and then they won't ask you questions about. You know, sometimes they'll ask you questions to see if you know anything about Java. They might ask you to write a little program. That if you pass the exam, they probably won't ask you those questions. It looks good on a resume, and if you want to study for it, this guy has an actual class, and these classes that are on Udemy are maybe just. Sometimes you can get them for $10. It changes from one day to another. At the most I've ever seen it was $19.99. You could take his class. There's also some other, just look up Udemy, go into Udemy and then type in a search for Java certification. And they have sample tests that you could take. And then if you pass it, congratulations. You've done more than a lot of people have done. You've proven to the world that at least you know Java, basic Java. And this goes on. They have introductory Java, then they got a more advanced Java, and then there's even one in databases. So I would suggest if you're bored, do that. And for the rest of the semester, I'll be available. Send me your, if you've got a problem, I answer it. But that's it for the course. All right. Are we sad? Are people there still? 14 people are still there. 14 people.
I'm here.
Okay, yeah. People are still there. Do we have enough information to do the zip code program? All right.
We'll figure it out.
Okay. All right. So I guess the next thing is the GUI. You can get the GUI done, and then the database stuff. All right. We're done. We'll see you guys. Hope to see you in the fall. Okay. Hope to see you in the fall. We're gonna do.
Wait, I thought you were trying to retire. Are you still not doing that?
No, I'm gonna stay one more year because I got too much to give. Okay, I got too much to give, and my wife will just kick me out of the house if I retire. So.
Well, thank you for staying. You're rather entertaining.
Okay. All right. We'll see you next semester. Bye.